Hey folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. I'm here. It's Sunday morning, 1:09 a.m. and I'm on one Mike Messier. This is my YouTube channel that has Mike's Instant Movie Reviews. I throw in some audiobook reviews occasionally a regular book review, occasionally a TV show review. Recently did some documentary HBO, the fashion one, the Brandy Hellville doc. I did a review on that. Tonight was old school movie theater. I'm a big movie theater fan. I like to see the movies in the auditorium in the theater. So for me, I say that the movie theater is the big building you go into, and the auditorium is your specific film. Tonight's movie was The Strangers, Chapter 1. And this is a good one. If you're a horror fan, go see it. You don't want to miss out on this one. If you're not into horror, you probably won't like this one. It is, I I believe it's a true crime story. I did not do research on this film either before or after seeing the movie. I want to give you fine folks my raw opinions on it. This one definitely is for the horror fans. The non-horror fans, if is I know people that are friends of mine, they're kind of squeamish. They get upset. They get triggered. Trigger warning, if you want to use that term, by violence against young people. You know, people in their mid to early 20s. The young lady you see in the movie poster, violence against her boyfriend. So if you don't like uh, portrayals of actual violence, not horror movie, goofy, Freddy Krueger type of stuff, like real deal stuff that looks like it actually happened to somebody. If that upsets you, then don't go see this one. Point blank. It's a great movie. Hate that you're missing out, but there are people that just can't or don't want to get into that because it upsets them or it disturbs them, or maybe they had a serious situation in their life that they escaped from or survived, an abusive, violent situation. So they get scared or it freaks them out or it disturbs them or it screws them up. I knew a Vietnam veteran that I used to do dinner theater acting with, really a great guy. And I asked him, we were pretty friendly after working together for a few years. And I said, hey, do you ever watch like Vietnam movies like, Platoon or Full Metal Jacket? Do you watch those movies? Because he was a real live Vietnam vet. And he said, no. He said, I lived it once. I don't want to live it again. And I think he also said that he had started to watch some Vietnam films years after the war, his service in it. And he didn't, it was too traumatic because some of the films were just too accurate. So I can imagine that if someone has actually been in a life or death situation where they've been physically assaulted, that a movie like this is not probably going to be good for you because watching this movie tonight, I had a knot in my stomach, and the audience, this was a Friday night in Jacksonville, Florida. So the audience was, um, basically an audience that you think there might be some cell phone talking or some younger people come in to talk during the movie, or people looking to have a good time. This movie shut everybody the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, this movie was so good in its genre that the audience, which I've been to a lot of Friday night horror films at this particular theater, and typically it's a little bit rowdy. You're just going to have to accept that on a Friday night, people are out to have a good time. The horror movie crowd can be a little rambunctious, especially on an opening night for a film. So they're going to chat a little bit, and you just have to, put your hushing standards to the side, as I do, because I'm a husher. I like to hush people, that talk in the movie theaters. I don't talk in the movie theaters. I turn my goddamn cell phone off, but I'm not going to, on a Friday night, it's kind of like no holds barred, anything goes night. But tonight, this movie, The Strangers Chapter 1, shut this audience up. And I think one of the great things about this movie, before I get it, I will get into spoilers, and I'm not going to spoil it right away. But the great thing about this movie is it does seem like it can happen to anybody. And there are those moments when you're kind of like, telling the characters in your mind, "Oh, don't do that. That's the wrong thing to do." But they're kind of the things that most people would end up doing anyway. And at this point, I think I'm going to have to say, once again, if you're a horror fan, go see this one. If you're not, definitely don't. Go see another movie. Um, If might be up. I liked If. I gave If 4.5 out of 5. Let me get into the nuts and bolts of this thing. So I'm officially saying right now, spoilers. Spoilers are coming. Spoilers alert. You've been alerted. Now we can really talk about the film. Now, if you haven't seen the film yet, and you say, "Well, gee whiz, go see the movie if you want to go see it, and then come back and watch the rest of this video," because then you feel like you're comparing notes. Okay, first off, I did not. I don't recall seeing any previews for this movie. I don't. I just saw it on the app. And my new thing recently, folks, is basically you have 20 minutes at AMC theaters of previews. You know, Nicole Kidman, all the whole 9 yards. I've been doing this thing maybe for the last year or so. Would I purposely kind of get into the theater laissez-faire? I used to be a real stickler. I wanted to see every preview, but I go to so many movies like the last 5 years that I don't mind missing the previews now because I know that I'm going to see them eventually, and most likely I'm just going to see the movie. And I do find that previews tend to give away too much. So I don't even want to see the preview. I don't want to see advertisements. I don't want to see reviews. A movie poster is all I need. And sometimes if I'm kind of tweeting on a film, like should I go see this, should I go not, I'll play on the app. The AMC app is really good because you can see the previews of whatever movie you're thinking about seeing, and I'll watch 30 seconds or a minute of a preview, and then I'll decide from that. And if I have to watch the whole preview of a movie, I still might go see it. But I know that a preview is good if in the first 30 seconds of that preview or first 10 seconds or minute, I turn the preview off because I'm like, okay, I want to go see this movie. I don't want to see the preview because it's given away too much. So that's just me. So this one, I don't think I ever saw the preview. I went into this thing only knowing that it was horror. 90 minutes is what it was advertised. I'll get into that in a minute because that did not seem accurate. And the movie title would lead me to believe, okay, is this a TV series? Like, are they putting some type of Netflix thing on the big screen? There was some type of Jesus program that they did that this past year. Some type of Jesus, A&E or something had a Jesus show that they put on the big theater screen. So I didn't know what this was. I didn't know what am I seeing here. It says chapter one, so I'm like, okay, obviously there's a second part. And now I just went to IMDb Pro to get this background here. It turns out that this is a three-parter apparently, and it's all going to be released this year, 2024. There's going to be three parts of this thing, which I didn't know that either. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to wait or two. I wait a year or two to see part two. Well, actually, there's three parts, and they're all coming out within a year, this calendar year. That's kind of exciting for the horror fans. So I didn't really know much about this movie going in. So the movie starts, and the beginning of the movie did a nice job of setting us up. It had the text on the screen, and it said something like, in the United States of America, there's like whatever the numbers were, 24.7 million violent crimes a year. That's one violent crime every 24 seconds. And it said since this movie started, there's been seven crimes, like seven violent crimes. I don't know what the exact numbers were, but basically it was saying there's a hell of a lot of violent crimes in our country. And the end of the opening titles, the opening text said, um, "This is one of the most violent crimes." So I'm like, okay, is this telling us that this is based on true events? And of course, whenever you see, that type of, it did, I don't think it used the term based on true events. It said this is one of the most violent crimes. I don't know for sure if that means this fictional story would be one of the most violent crimes of the year or of all time if it did take place, or this is based on true events. I don't know. So the movie starts, and we have, once again, spoiler, we have an early kill. We see this guy in a suit. He looks like your typical, what they used to call a yuppie businessman, maybe 40 years old. And he's like in a full suit, like a really nice suit. And he's out in the middle of the woods, and he's kind of looking like he's looking to escape something. And then this kind of like leather facey type of guy, like this big, huge dude with a scary mask comes along. I think we see the mask at that point, or the back of the mask, and basically whacks him with an axe. I want to say in the chest, but basically kills the dude on spot. So like we start off pretty, pretty strong with a murder right away, a violent, brutal murder. Then we go into somewhere in Oregon, I think is what the movie said. Now you say Oregon, 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 Oregon. Well, I don't think people are going to be rushing to go to fucking Oregon anymore after this movie. Like Oregon just got officially labeled like Oregon's like a fucking, scary state now. Like Oregon, I'm trying to think of like what are scary states like Mississippi? Like you had the Mississippi Burning movie, and what was the dun, 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 what was that movie with the fucking that fucking like the dueling banjos, was that in fucking Alabama or wherever the fuck that was. So I mean, there's some states in the United States that are just kind of like, and I guess you could say Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Texas. I mean, I just went to Austin a few months ago. That's very populated now. That's very up to date. But I mean, what's a scary state? I mean, Florida. I'm in fucking Florida now, so I mean, Florida is kind of a scary state. People are people are snorkeling in lakes that have alligators in them. Like I just saw this news thing. This young woman, probably 23 or 4 years old, she's snorkeling in a fucking lake that there's clearly labeled there's alligators, and the fucking alligator bites this chick on the head, and then she's going to go snorkeling again. Okay. And she says, I'm kind of glad the alligator bit my head, because if he bit my arm, he might have torn it off. Smart. Okay, can't argue with that fucking logic. So as far as scary states go, I don't know, maybe Maine, like Stephen King up in Maine, that's a scary state. I would say South Carolina. I think South Carolina is a pretty fucking scary state. Um, but now Oregon, you guys win. Like you're the new scary state in town in the States. Okay. So, Oregon, it's just not for Portland anymore. So this is Venus, Oregon, where this is the type of couple that people hate because the girl is gorgeous and the guy's like a typical Chad. Like the guy looks like he just came from some frat party. The girl is smoking hot. She's probably 23, 24, maybe 25 years old. Beautiful redheaded actress. I did catch, I think the actress's name is Madeline. I think in the movie, I think her character's name was Maya, and then the guy's name was Ryan. But this is the type of couple that's so pretty, everybody's gonna hate them. You know what I mean? Except for other pretty people. And when these two find themselves, they're going on some big trip. It's like their 5th year dating anniversary. They're going on a big trip somewhere, and our dude Ryan there has been driving. They have like I think like 5 or 6 more hours to get to their destination, and Ryan's stomach is growling, so he wants to pull over and get some food. And our girl there, uh, Maya, finds on her GPS. Hey, Carol's Diner, and this is another thing that's going to be iconic by the time this is all over. So they pull over to this Carol's Diner, and before that happens, they almost get into a car accident with this really scary dude that yells at them. And I think this scary dude we see later. So basically, they pull over to this fucking diner. They've already almost been hit by a car. They go into the diner, and all the next twist, you know what I mean? Like if you saw Top Gun a few summers ago, Maverick, where Maverick, like he has like the plane accident or whatever, and he ends up like in his spaceman suit in the fucking diner, in the small town diner, and like the little kid says, "Are you from the moon?" or whatever the fuck he says, or he says, "Where am I?" And the little kid says, uh, Earth. So I think it was kind of like that. Like everyone in the diner is all these scary looking people, these scary looking rednecks, and then all eyeballing this chick, this redheaded chick. And I mean, that's the danger, folks. I mean, if you're an attractive woman, yes, you're kind of have that situation where everywhere you go, you get these leery eyes from these creepy people, men, women. Women are looking at you with jealousy. Men are eyeballing you. And if you're a guy on a date with an attractive woman, you feel that anxiety like secondhand, because now you feel like you gotta stiffen up a little bit and you can't really relax because you're looking at all these creeps thinking you're gonna have to throw down and fight. So it's tough. It's tough for attractive women and their attractive dates, or even the non-attractive dates, whoever the fuck the date is. So they're getting eyeballed by all these creeps. And Ryan is a little bit of a oversharer. Like these young people in the diner are kind of talking them up, and like Ryan's talking, and they just have a little bit of a lack of common sense. Like they're kind of oversharing that they've been together for 5 years, and they're talking too loud basically. And the other thing is, folks, quite frankly, Frank, in the theater, I don't know if other people were catching this, but I kind of was. It's like if you go into this diner like right away and everybody's kind of staring at your date or staring you down and it's just a bad vibe, like just get the fuck out. Like just say, oh, we forgot our wallet in the car, and then just go to the car and get out. Because what this couple discovers, for those of you that have seen the movie, that his car won't start, and he's got one of these fancy cars with the push button. I don't have that. And his car won't start, and they're afraid, and everything is getting nervous, and what's going to happen. And so then that's when you see the preview. I did see the preview once, I guess. Some guy taps on his window, and it's this local yokel who says he's gonna, I can fix your car, and then it's all scary and southern. And Ryan, our guy Ryan, there immediately thinks that this is a scam, that they're being railroaded here, that while they were in the diner, these rednecks went over and fucked up their vehicle. And so even if, and the girl kind of talks him out of it, and this is going to come into play later because the girl is going to feel guilty that she didn't believe Ryan's instincts when he didn't want to trust these rednecks. Because I don't know what happens in part 2 or part 3. I haven't read any materials about this situation. If this was a real live event, I don't know. But Ryan kind of had the instinct to bail, and the pretty girlfriend talked him out of it, because she wanted to be trusting, and you could say naive, perhaps. But our boy Ryan there kind of knew the deal, and poor, she just was going with the flow and trusting these scary redneck people. You never trust scary redneck people; those are the last people you trust. So, and at this point, like I said, like this movie was kind of cool because it played with your emotions. At some point, it's like everything's being spelled out there. I mean, we know what's going to happen. Like this attractive couple in this scary Oregon town is dead meat. Like they're just not fitting in, and there's going to be some trouble, and they're going to be the recipient of trouble. And so we're kind of just waiting for the inevitable, and they end up in this like kind of an Airbnb. I guess it was an Airbnb, this fucking house, really nice house. And that's when the creepy door knock, and like the creepy girl at the door. And I mean, all these things that, I think the movie did a wonderful job as far as horror of putting you into the shoes of not only the killers, because they did do the point of view with the video cameras that you're like in the shoes of the killer. And I think the Halloween movies were the first ones to do that, 40 years ago or 50 years ago, whenever that was. But with this, we do go into the feet or the body of the killers, and we do go into the feet of Ryan and Maya at various times too. So it's kind of interesting. The perspective of the viewer kind of bounces around a little bit. Let's see what else. All the good things that, couple in the woods getting stalked by killers. I mean, we've seen this type of thing before. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's another creepy state, right? Texas. But with this one, I did feel like it's not terribly original, but it kind of is. Like it's original enough, like a lot of the stuff that we're familiar with horror. But I mean, this movie did a really good job of making you care about the characters. Initially, you're kind of like, yeah, fuck them. They're too pretty, and they deserve to get slashed up. But then the movie's so good at making you hate the people of this town. Like you really hate Venus, Oregon, if that's a real town. And you're feeling for these people. Like the movie did a good job. Like, yes, this is the super couple, the super annoying pretty couple, and you don't like them because you're either jealous of the guy, or you're jealous of the girl, or you're jealous of somebody. But eventually you're kind of pulling for them because they seem like they're nice kids, and they're just trying to do stuff and have a good time. And here they are getting attacked by these lunatics. Oh God. Okay, so once again, spoiler, but the fucking part where our girl there, Maya, puts her fucking hand in the nail. I had to scream out loud. Like I visibly like got shook because if you've been watching my horror movie reviews, you know that I am the hands and the feet are like the things that I don't like. Like you can shoot somebody in the torso or even shoot them in the head, and I'm fine. But if I see like a hand or a foot, the worst was Pet Cemetery with the kid when once he's like reanimated or he's back from the dead when the kid is slicing his father's Achilles ankle, Achilles heel, whatever the fuck. So this one, when the girl puts her fucking hand on the nail, I'm like, I was freaked out. Like that freaked me out. Uh, and there was more to come. I mean, and you're pulling for these people with the gun and everything, and I'm just trying to remember like any nuances or stuff that I saw that maybe other people didn't. But I was just pretty impressed. Like this movie is. Oh, here's what I was thinking. There was a lot of fucking previews tonight. Typically, it's 20 minutes. Like you have to be in the theater 20 minutes after the official start time of the movie, and you're probably going to be good to see the beginning of the movie. Like right around the 20-minute mark, maybe 21, maybe 19, but Nicole Kidman will come out with her AMC jargon, and that's when you got to have your ass in the seat. Tonight, we were pushing 25 or 26 minutes in previews. And I was getting a little bit restless because I did get in the theater like 15 minutes late. So I'm thinking, okay, start the movie. And I was terribly thirsty, but I was so tired. I didn't want to get up and get a drink. Like I had a long, exciting day. I was emotionally spent. I really just didn't want to go to the concession stand because there was just too many people there, and I just didn't want to spend the $7 on a fucking soda. So I just wanted to like sit. I'm like, okay, this movie is going to be 90 minutes. I can go thirsty for 90 minutes. I'll get a beverage as soon as it's over. And guess what, folks? The movie seemed like it was a fucking hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours. It was kind of weird because I obviously turned my phone off out of respect. Somebody's phone rang in the theater, like deep into it. Luckily, they didn't answer the phone. They just fucking turned it off. But I mean, for me, I was thirsty, and the movie just seemed, it didn't drag. It just seemed long. It just seemed like, okay, this movie does not feel like 90 minutes. This feels like a 2 hour movie. Was there a misprint? But I remember that the movie, the scheduled time was 8:45, and I think the movie got out at 10:30. I think I remember seeing 10:35 in my car. So I don't know. I mean, it seemed like maybe it's 95 minutes long, and then the end credits. And I'm thinking maybe it was actually 100 minutes long, but I don't know. If you saw the movie, you tell me. Did it seem longer than 90 minutes? I felt like it's more like 100 minutes, perhaps. Something like that. Trying to remember the music for this movie. They did have like the thing. I mean, this is the new thing now, where like record players you just play a record. That's like a horror trope now. Like that's a horror thing. Like it used to be the creaky floorboards, the jump scare, and now it's like what's playing on the record player. Like a record is just a horror thing now. Um, what's that band? Styx. I think Styx has like one of the last songs of the movie, which is kind of nice because I like the band Styx. You babe, blah 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 blah. Once again, let's talk about these actors. The people playing the Oregon. Fucking, I really want to see what people like are like at Oregon. How's Oregon reacting to this movie? Is there a Venus Oregon? Does that exist? I want to know what the Oregon people think of this thing. I will never feel the same way about Oregon again. I mean, Billy Jack Haynes and now this. Are you kidding me? So anyway, I thought this was a good movie. The actress, obviously very attractive. Obviously, if she sticks with the horror genre, I mean, she might be, facing off with Mia Goth. Mia Goth is like the new horror flavor of the year, and then you got Jenna Ortega, but she's doing everything now. But this young lady, whoever she is, I think her real name is Madeline. If she doesn't have a huge career already that I just don't know about, she will after this. She'll always get work in horror. And the guy was good too. I mean, the Ryan guy, like he's a valorous man. He's a valorous young man in a tough spot. he's got this really attractive girlfriend. He's a good looking guy himself, and he's trying to fight for his life, and he's trying to like, protect his woman, but at the same time, she's not making it easy because she's a little naive and she's signing over his car to these creeps. And, she puts him in a tough spot. And as they're about to get what they think is going to be killed, um, it's like, she's apologizing and he's doing the noble thing. It's none of your fault. This is none of your fault. It's none of your fault. It's your fault. Okay. Like but I kind of want to know what was Ryan's thought? Like what would he have done differently? And I just like, could you just call AAA? I mean, do they have AAA in Oregon? I mean, you're in this horrible small town. What can he do? You know what I mean? And anyway, boy, oh boy. Yeah, what's that movie? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Dun, 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 dun. Backwoods, the Bojangles movie? No, it's the dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 do, 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 do. What the fuck is that movie? Deliverance. Thanks. Well, I did it myself. I'm thinking myself here. So anyway, this was a good film. I enjoyed it as much as, but it's at the same time, it's like you don't enjoy it because it really got me kind of creeped out. Because then I'm going into the parking lot after the movie. I'm kind of like looking over my shoulder. You know what I mean? Because then you realize if all these crimes are happening all the time, every 27 seconds, I mean, God. So I don't know if so I'm very curious where this movie's going to go. I don't want to read spoilers. I don't want to like, oh, the real story. This is what fucking happened. Or, this movie's based on a short story by this fucking asshole. And this is what's going to happen next. I don't want to see any of that shit. I kind of just want to see this movie go, I'll go away. The movie goes away. And whenever the second part is coming, I can think that maybe they're going to do a deal where like end of summer, maybe August, maybe September. And then I would have to think that it's either going to be like the second part comes out, maybe the second part comes out for like Halloween, and the third part comes out for Christmas. Like just to go against the grain, like just to not be like a happy Christmas Oscar bait movie, but we're gonna do, they're gonna do a nice Halloween release for the second installment, and then a a third one for Christmas. And so this movie ends on the big to be continued. um, and I guess I'm hooked because as difficult at times, I mean, this is a movie that for me, it was a challenge to get through it. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but it's like, it's kind of, this will screw you up. So, like I said, if you're not a horror fan, if you don't like things that are going to fuck with you a little bit and make you disturbed, then don't see this one. Because even me, who goes to most of the horror films, it was disturbing. So, I mean, there you have it. So, I like the movie. Comment or question. People have been taking issue with some of my reviews lately, which is great. The Dune my my review on Dune 2 is getting a lot of mixed reactions, let's put it that way. People are taking it very personally. Like the people that own stock in Dune 2 are just commenting left and right. They I mean, hey, some of their points are fine. Like, hey, like a lot of them are saying, it sounds like you didn't really want to see this movie. So why did you go see it? Which, I can't argue with that. I did feel kind of indebted to see the movie. Like, okay, this is the big movie, so I better go see it. And that's kind of one of the downfalls, if there is one, of these subscription apps like I have with AMC and Cinemark and Regal, is you do kind of feel like you have to see the movies. And sometimes you don't really want to see a movie, but you see it anyway because you're paying for it. You know what I mean? So you might as well see all these fucking movies. Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, MikeMessier.com. You can go to my website. You can buy one of my books, Fight or Play Basketball. My gothic horror, a lot less violent than this. A Distance from Avalon, When the Dying and the Dead Reunite. No, sorry, I don't have Maya and Ryan, hiding in Oregon, but it is a nice, more of a intellectual horror, I'd say, less visceral. But that's nice. My buddy Nazar Germanoff did the cover art. MikeMessier.com. Subscribe. Thanks. Leave comments. Tell me how wrong I am. or how right I am.